Good morning. Let us do some spiritual practice together. We did a workshop for staff facilitated by Google. And the first thing they invited us to do was to take a moment to arrive. Such a beautiful invitation. To unfurl, to settle down, and to let movement come to a minimum. And to begin to become aware of your breathing. So dependable, so constant, so generous, such a gift, so unconditional. And then if you haven't already done so, begin to let your eyes soften and close. If you want to. Not to shut out the world, but to focus your awareness by reducing the amount of sensory information. And I'm using words from our recommended reading to guide us. Paraphrased. Choose to love every part of your being as best you can. Unconditionally if you can. You are a complex, multi-dimensional being, and loving yourself, it requires accepting all of your seemingly separate parts. Your personal self. Your broader self, the other people in your life. And broader still, all of the beings, all of nature, all of the activity of your life. And even the world beyond that. Through this practice today, we are focusing on the feeling of love. So I invite you to bring into your awareness someone you love very, very much. Imagine, if you can, that you're sitting with them like having coffee or a conversation. And from your heart, there is generated a silent message from your heart to theirs that says silently, may you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease. May you be happy. And breathing in all this love and exhaling, I invite you to take into your awareness someone who loves you very, very much. This could be someone right here in the sanctuary with you, or somewhere else, or someone who has already departed this plane. But imagine with me that you are sitting with them, feeling the atmosphere of their presence, and you can sense a message from their heart silently transmitting to yours that says, may you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease. May you be happy. And taking a breath in, as you exhale, let your awareness expand to take in our county, Sonoma County, and especially those who have been impacted by the power outage, who may be struggling to get back to normalcy. And imagine that from your heart center, there is this beacon radiating a message to all of them, saying, may you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease. May you be happy. And taking a breath in to enjoy all of this atmosphere of loving kindness and broadening your perspective to take into your awareness all of those people in our state who are impacted by the fires. And from your heart, a radiant beacon transmitting silently the message. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease. May you be happy. I invite you to take a breath in. Each time letting the feeling of love deepen. And we let these words of our founder, Dr. Holmes, amplify the feeling of love and connection. Everything that lives proclaims the glory of God. Every person who exists manifests the life of God. All beings, part of the one spirit in which we live, one mind by which we think, one body which we are a part of, one light that lights everyone's pathway. And with the breath drawing in that light, I invite you now as you exhale to think of someone in your life who you are concerned about, who may be struggling. And silently in your mind, from your heart, say, I love you, I bless you, and I set you free from all of my expectations. And breathing in this atmosphere of safety and love and loving kindness, I invite you to think of someone in your life who challenges your center of peace. And fueled by the loving kindness in this room, in all these hearts, I invite you to silently from your heart to say to them, I love you. I bless you. And I set you free from all expectations. And imagine with me generations upon generations of beings centering in loving kindness, focusing and amplifying the sense of love and connection. Like one universal song with a message entirely for you. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease. May you be happy. Let us bring this moment of practice to an end by breathing in deeply and sighing. Letting your eyes open. I wanted us to begin that way this morning because, as I mentioned last week, I recently returned from the kingdom of Bhutan, which is a Buddhist nation, and I've been there before. And when I took one of our groups there, we went to visit the great Buddha statue, Dordenma. I brought a slide of it along with me so you get an idea of the scale of its hugeness. Here you can see there are people at the base. Those are people from the Center for Spiritual Living, Santa Rosa. We went to visit there. Now, you cannot take a camera inside or a cell phone, so I have to try to describe to you what it's like to go inside. We were able to go inside. Inside of the Buddha's body are over 100,000 smaller Buddhas, bronze statues, gilded, gold. So you walk into a chamber that is just wall-to-wall Buddhas, and the idea is that the image opens the heart of loving kindness and amplifies the feeling of it as you are in there. This is in the city of Thimphu, it's the capital of Bhutan, and our group was able to go in and sit with a lama. A lama is a spiritual teacher. And the Lama initiated us into the use of one of Bhutan's most important chants, Om Mani Padme Hum. Now, this chant is important, and it is said by some that it has the ability to activate certain qualities, certain spiritual qualities, generosity of spirit, ethical choices and behavior, patience, diligence, right effort, focus, and spiritual wisdom. So it's a good chant to chant. Now, I said we were initiated into the use of the chant. Now, what does that mean? The best way I can think to explain initiation into the use of a chant is to imagine when you get a new credit card in the mail. You can't use it right away. You have to activate it. You have to call the number or go on the site. Connections must be made. It must all be set right. You have to understand the terms of using it so that it is functional for you. So the way it worked with our group visiting the Lama, there were 4 things that happened. First of all, he gave us spiritual instruction to prepare us for it. Then secondly, he prayed with us to set us on the right path. And then the third thing he did was get us going by repeating Om Mani Padme Hum according to the tradition 108 times. And then finally, the fourth part was he blessed us individually. Now, in his lesson to us, the Lama emphasized the importance of focusing our loving kindness, like we did this a short moment ago, outward. Focus the intention outward, away from self. He told us to be careful not to focus so much on ourselves. But instead, he said, when we begin our practice, whatever that practice might be, to start first with all sentient beings and imagine them happy and healthy and well and free. And then the next step would be to focus on our mothers and our fathers and our teachers and our children and our neighbors. And then, he said, the next step and the most important step is to focus our loving kindness on those we still have trouble with. Now, the way the Lama said it was, on those you still hate. He didn't pretty it up. Do you include in your spiritual practice those whom you still hate? The master teacher said, it's very easy to love those who you already like, but to go to the places that it is difficult to go to. That's the real work. And he said that, the Lama said that the focus on others, the focus of loving kindness will generate a goodwill and a blessing that through our connection in oneness will return to us and bless us individually anyway. So he taught us we don't have to be overly concerned with our own personal need when we're doing this kind of practice. So he advised us to be focused on offering our energy, the heart energy of our practice for the ending of suffering of all beings. And to take a moment, like we did this morning, every day, for the benefit of others. He said that focusing on love and compassion is very, very important because when a being has love and compassion, they don't need anything else. He was so delightful. He started to tell us in the instruction that we were to recite the mantra Om Mani Padme Hum 108 times a day or more. Then he adjusted that down for us. He said, just do it a few times. Like, when you're on the bus and when you say it, focus the energy of love and kindness and compassion. Or when you're in an Uber going somewhere. And then he focused that down, adjusted it down for us a bit. He said, just say it once, if you can. And when you say it, try to feel the love and compassion. And then he added playfully, but try to say the mantra all the time, non-stop. And as you say it, feel your heart opening to loving kindness and compassion for all the time. You know who else told us to pray without ceasing? The last word of the chant, Om Mani Padme Hum, is a very important word. It has many layers of meaning, and one of the layers of meaning is that the word hum removes the blocks that arise from emotional afflictions, emotional suffering. Now, I nearly missed something in the teaching. It doesn't remove emotional suffering. It removes the blocks. The blocks that prevent us from thriving anyway, from moving through, moving around, from having a peaceable existence in the presence of suffering. In other words, there is no denial in Buddhism that suffering happens. Maybe suffering is out of our control. Maybe addressing the blocks that prevent our growth is something we can do something about now that we have a practice that we can use. So what are the blocks? In Science of Mind, we learn that blocks are such things as thinking and believing that suffering is permanent. Thinking and believing that sorrow is permanent. Thinking and believing that anguish is permanent. When what we learn at the center, and in many religions of the world, is that there is only one permanent thing. We call it different names, as you heard in the song. Ultimate reality, the ground of all being, divinity, the truth, Brahman, the oversoul. And it persists no matter what. You can't cling to it. You can't change it. You can't coerce it. It just is. It persists while everything else moves. Now, what does that mean when we say it persists? I think we have to think of that old saying, "This too shall pass," and it will help us understand the meaning of hum. This too shall pass describes how everything moves while reality stays the same. Now, the phrase itself, "this too shall pass," it's an old phrase. It comes, some people say, from the retelling of a 19th century Persian story. Abraham Lincoln used the quote in a speech that he gave before he became president in the 1800s. I brought it along to share. It is said an Eastern monarch once charged his wise people to invent for him a sentence to be ever in view and which should be true and appropriate in all times and all situations. They presented him the words, "And this too shall pass away." How much it expresses. How chastening in the hour of pride. How consoling in the depth of affliction. Pride can distract us. Success can mesmerize us. Sadness and challenges do grab our attention. It is true. There is a story in Buddhism about the Buddha. It may have been elaborated over time. It is the story of the Buddha meditating on the path of inward peace, taking the steps towards final enlightenment. Now, the demon king, whose name is Mara, he wasn't happy about the progress that Buddha was making because the demon king felt that enlightenment should be his to experience before all other beings. So he decides to distract Buddha from enlightenment. And how will he do that? Well, by sending his beautiful daughters to dance before the meditating Buddha to distract him. Well, the daughters' names mean such thing as longing, clinging, discontent, greed. You get the idea. And so they dance in a seductive way while Buddha is meditating. But it doesn't work. Buddha stays on the path of inner peace. It makes the demon king Mara furious. And so he drums up a vast army of monsters to scare Buddha and to knock him off the path of contemplation. And yet, Buddha sits serenely, untouched, focused on inward peace. Later, and this is perhaps the elaboration of the story, later a student praises Buddha and says, "You know, in that moment, amazing, you didn't even notice them." And Buddha says, "Oh, I noticed them. I just didn't follow them into the gates of hell." And that's the meaning of that last word, hum, I think. This too shall pass, whatever it is. And don't follow it as it passes. Notice it. It's as real as can be. But sit still. And while you sit, call to mind someone, anyone, and say silently, may you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease. May you be happy. The point of the Mara story is not to ask whether his daughters or the king, the demon king, were real. Did it really happen? No, but to understand and for us to ask ourselves, what does Mara represent in my own life? What turbulent obsessions distract me from inward peace? What opinions tug me off of the path? What thoughts, self-talk, what fears bump me off my center? What is it that is worth giving up my center of peace? Notice them. They are real. And stay on the path of inward peace anyway, simultaneous. Just don't follow the distraction to its logical conclusion. Some Buddhists say that when you and I are being distracted, grasping for such things as being right, being seen, success, possession, this, that in those moments, the demon king Mara is standing beside us, tempting us. So when you and I notice it's happening, now we have something we know to do. We can breathe in, say, aham, and call to mind someone, anyone, and silently from our heart center say, I love you, I bless you, and I set you free from all my expectations. I invite you to take a deep breath with me. And as you exhale, let your eyes close for a moment of quiet contemplation. Imagine with me once again generations of beings, of hearts, focusing their loving attention, creating a network, a foundation of loving kindness that we are the beneficiaries of. Imagine with me adding to that momentum, tuning into the one universal sound, focusing itself at the center of our beings as it announces, may you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease. May you be happy. Let us bring this moment of contemplation to a close by breathing in deeply, followed by a sigh, so that we may make the transition to activity in the room as we approach our giving practice. For those of you who are visiting with us, October is a very special month to us. It is the month in which we start to talk about what's happening next year. What are our plans for next year? We've been listening to our community, asking questions, doing surveys, and based on the feedback that we received, we've been making plans. You heard, some of you who were here, our teen, Dylan Jansen, sharing about his experience from the scholarship that the center gave him. Do you recall that? We learned about picking cotton and how it expanded. Well, we plan to continue supporting our teens in our teen camp and also to continue providing dynamic, age-appropriate youth and family programs. You also heard today that Anne is retiring, and we have some changes in our staff, and we plan to keep our staff healthy and refurbished and revitalized, and even to increase our ministerial staff. So that's one of our plans. You heard last week our 12 nonprofit partners that we're partnering with for next year. We plan to continue doing that, so we will continue to ask you which organizations really warm your heart and feel connected to your values. So very soon we will be asking you for nominations for 2021. We like to plan ahead. We've also, maybe you didn't notice, but we painted the whole sanctuary a little bit ago, and the whole social hall. We consulted with a color coordinator to make sure that when we walked in here, we felt welcomed and peaceful. We've got a few more things like that we need to do, including some upgrades to our equipment for the music department. We plan to take care of that. We've been up-leveling our web access so that we can respond to the request for more online classes for people who don't want to drive at night, or perhaps who live far away in other cities so that they can participate. We're also planning, based on feedback, in starting small in-home groups, spiritual practice, community, and connection. It's going to be very wonderful. And we're planning a series of lunchtime learning events. Now, that means you show up on a Wednesday at lunchtime with your bag of lunch, and we have a focused, prepared lesson and interaction so that you have somewhere to go for a midweek spiritual boost. We're planning to celebrate again Black History Month, and this year we're adding Women's History Month, as well as an interfaith holiday celebration too. We're planning to continue the 5th Sunday evening community potluck because it was so successful and received such a warm response. We're doing this because we're listening to you, and we're doing our best to respond with that which contributes to your spiritual life, because this is your center for spiritual living. Now, if you haven't done so already, please turn in your giving intention card today that discloses how much you plan to give next year. I have heard many people say to me, "Oh, but I'm not a member." You don't have to be a member to support an organization. In fact, you may have noticed we don't push membership because many of us are nonconformists and will never join anything. So that's not a condition of participating. The condition for participating is saying, yes, you can count on me next year for X amount of dollars. It's not a bill. And then when you do that, you receive this amazing, glossy-covered, beautiful book called Beyond 2020 Spiritual Vision, which is the name of our theme next year. And it has in it 366, because it's leap year, affirmations so that can guide you on staying on the path of inner peace, regardless of how many dancing daughters the demon sends. Right? The second thing you get when you turn it in is an invitation to an exclusive concert performance by the Youth Orchestra of Santa Rosa Symphony. Not only will they perform right here on the stage, but you'll get to talk to the young people about their music and encourage them. There's two parts to this. The front part you keep somewhere, so put it on your refrigerator to remind you of the date. The second part you must fill in and drop off at the giving intention table so that we can have your RSVP available for you. There will be no entrance at the door. You cannot buy a ticket. This is an exclusive club. It's exclusive, but it has open access to anybody who wishes to participate. So there's no rules, there's no amount, you just go and let us know what you can be counted on. And then that way we will be able to thank you. When I speak again, I'm going to share with you what we're going to be studying next year when we focus on Beyond 2020 Spiritual Vision. The topics and themes I think are just very exciting, and I'm looking forward to sharing them with you.